So it was 1 year ago today. Prosecutors claim 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was lured to a Hollywood Hills home and killed, and her body dismembered and hidden inside of a Tesla. Today, the man accused of murdering her back in court. Now, there were no cameras there, but we have somebody who was inside. But we're talking about 21-year-old singer David, real name David Anthony Burke. He apparently sat shackled in an orange jumpsuit, remained calm and quiet as prosecutors laid out these new disturbing allegations. What do I mean? Telling the court, telling the judge, they apparently found a, quote, significant amount of child pornography on his phone. Now, to be clear, we don't know if Celeste was included in those images, but that revelation, that alleged revelation, adds a new and troubling layer to this case. It makes me also wonder, are we talking a new set of charges? I'll explain. But prosecutors also disclosed that a wiretap was used during the investigation and that there were 3 separate grand juries looking into this case. 3? We always thought there was 1. They say there's still a large amount of digital evidence, more than 40 terabytes to process and turn over to the defense. So the judge set a preliminary hearing for May 1st. So that's where a court will determine if there is sufficient evidence, sufficient probable cause to support the charges for this case to move forward. Now, David has pled not guilty to these charges of first-degree murder, sexual abuse of a child, mutilation of human remains. Prosecutors claim he killed Celeste when she threatened to expose what they describe as an illegal sexual relationship with a minor. So after today, as you can imagine, there's a lot of questions. For that, I have 2 great guests. I turn to missing persons private investigator Steve Fischer, who's been all on top of this case. He was in the courtroom today for all of this. And also Mark Geragos, high-profile criminal defense attorney, friend of the show. He also co-hosts the podcast Reasonable Doubt, 2 Angry Men. Gentlemen, always happy to see you. Steve, I'm going to start with you. You were there today. How did Burke look, number 1? And 2, did he have any kind of reaction when prosecutors revealed that they apparently found all this material on his phone?
Yeah, they brought him in, sheriffs brought him in an orange jumpsuit, and then they handcuffed him to the stanchion on the desk. He did not look at the gallery at all or the defense side. He just sat down, didn't even acknowledge his attorneys, although they were back there with him earlier. He stared forward. I've heard reports that he looked confident and everything. He did not look that to me. Of course, you know, it's all subjective because I didn't know him before, but he did not, he didn't look confident to me. He looked like he was defeated.
Well, Mark, I mean, these new allegations about material on his phone, you couple that with a wiretap. My first thought, the attorney and me, I'm wondering, are the feds involved? I mean, I'm wondering, are you now potentially talking federal charges here?
Well, given the history, the more recent history, that's entire. I would not be dismissive of that. If you had asked me 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have said, no, it's not likely. But given what has happened recently in Los Angeles County, that's entirely possible. But let's take one step back, if we could. Part of what was happening here, and I had talked to you about this, Jesse, when the defense did not waive their speedy trial rights or speedy preliminary hearing rights, that forced the prosecution's, basically called their bluff. Prosecution is going to do anything and everything, in my humble opinion, to try to get around doing a preliminary hearing next week. They started today by, the cynic in me would say they brought up there's child porn on the phone, there's 3 grand juries, there are federal, or there are wiretaps. All of that stuff was nothing more than a way to say, okay, defense, you're going to put our feet to the fire. We're about to slime you right back. And that's and it was effective. We're leading with it. You're leading with it.
Definitely a strategy. Let me, Steve, stand by for 1 second. I just want to go back to you, Mark, on this. 3 grand juries? 3 grand juries? There was only reports about 1, as far as I could tell,
yes.
And all investigative grand juries that, hear this evidence. They're usually used to lock in testimony. None of them, as far as we can tell, were tasked with returning an indictment. Maybe, maybe not. But 3 grand juries, why 3?
Let me just tell you why, and this has been one of the great frustrations for me as somebody who practices in LA County. This idea of an investigative grand jury is nonsense. There are 3 grand juries because grand juries meet on certain days of the week. There are grand juries And if they want to indict, all the prosecutor has to do with any grand jury is present them with the charging document and say, okay, go deliberate and bring back a indictment. So this idea that they're investigative grand juries is just a nonsensical way that the prosecution puts out there this narrative that everybody buys into, that somehow we're just doing an investigation. It's a way to lock in witnesses. It's a way to scare lawyers. It's a way to just throw a kind of a monkey wrench into anybody who wants to do anything. It's absolute nonsense. If they wanted to indict, they could have asked the Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday grand jury to bring an indictment of this guy, which is why I said before, this idea that somehow the LAPD was working in lockstep with the DA's office makes zero sense.
Steve, back to you. Other information, because I understand you allegedly have proof that David was allegedly involved with other minors?
Yeah, and I've brought that up before. So this wasn't a big surprise when, Beth said the word child porn 3 or 4 times today. And she was really, I agree with Mark, there's a lot of posturing going on here. And she was really trying to get that out there. But I have another minor that I've been in touch with for months that sent me photographic evidence of her and David at the rental house, and which was an illegal relationship.
Do you know if that's part of the case or going to be part of the case?
I don't know. They've been turned. I can tell you that the photos have been turned over to law enforcement. She's talked to law enforcement. I don't know if that's part of the case or not. They are going to be very protective of the imagery. They made that clear.
Steve, by the way, are people coming forward?
Jesse, let me just...
Well, Mark, just stand by for 1 second. Mark, just stand by for 1 second. I just want to follow up one thing with Steve here. Are people coming forward to you, Steve, with more information about David since he's been arrested and charged?
Yes, yeah, there is. There have been, and a couple of people had indicated to me that they would have something to say if he was arrested. They were nervous about him and people in his orbit, and they're more comfortable now. They still don't want to go public, but they're willing to talk to law enforcement.
You mean they're coming to you and then you're delivering that information to law enforcement, or they're speaking to you and law enforcement?
I'm connecting them in certain cases. Yeah.
Mark, over to you.
Look, to Steve's point and your question, whether they're going to bring that in, the pretext that they would use, the prosecution would use, is we're going to show that this is what's so-called 1101 modus operandi evidence. That's why it's important that we've got to try to get in the child porn evidence. The reality is it was nothing more than a way to slime him in the setting where there is basically litigation privilege, and they're pushing back. The prosecution, as expected, is pushing back hard on the defense because the defense did not waive their right to a speedy preliminary hearing. This is all orchestrated kabuki theater on behalf of the prosecution. They are not going to put their preliminary hearing on next week if they can help it, unless
Mark,
they get rejected. That's not happening.
You could be 100% right. That could 100% be the strategy. But if this preliminary hearing does happen, right, and this is very different than a grand jury, right? This is not one-sided, closed door. Defense has an opportunity to challenge the prosecution's case. It is a low burden to, prove that there's probable cause here to support the charges, that there's sufficient evidence. When you listen to, they say they have 40 terabytes of data that they're going to be turning over. We didn't get a full analysis today of all the evidence they have and all the potential cooperating witnesses. Do you feel differently about how the prosecution, about their chances at a preliminary hearing, or the strength of their case, or what we can expect there?
Look, I say this, sometimes judges smile, other times they get mad at me. Probable cause proceedings in the County of Los Angeles have devolved into whether your client is breathing. That's the standard of probable cause. It used to be a way to weed out weak cases. That has long left the building. Probable cause now is such a low standard that virtually anything works. The problem is, from the prosecution standpoint, they have been singularly singularly secretive about this case, going to the point of shutting down the medical examiner, not letting him speak, sealing the records.
Wow.
They have 2 months after, and I've said this before, 2 months after, they were telling anybody who would listen, they weren't, LAPD wasn't sure a crime had been committed.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.